You might not see it, you might not hear it, but right now, all around the world, there's a high stakes arms race going on. It's a silent battle being fought in labs and in server rooms, and it's a battle for the future of information itself. This is the quantum crypto crisis. And it all kind of started with this one idea. Back in 1981, the legendary physicist Richard Feynman had this amazing insight. He basically said, look, our normal computers are always going to struggle to simulate the truly weird and wonderful rules of quantum mechanics. So if you really want to understand nature, you've got to build a computer that plays by nature's rules. And just like that, the seed for quantum computing was planted. And the promise of that idea? It's absolutely staggering. We're talking about machines that could solve problems that are just impossible for even the most powerful supercomputers we have today. Folks at places like Google and IBM think this could lead to discovering new medicines, creating revolutionary materials, even solving huge challenges like building better batteries. But with all that incredible power, there's a dark side. And that brings us to a threat that isn't some far-off sci-fi thing. It's happening right now. It's called a harvest now, decrypt later attack. What does that mean? It means adversaries are stealing enormous amounts of our encrypted data. We're talking government secrets, corporate data, your private messages, and they're just storing it. They can't read it yet, but they're making a bet. A bet that one day a powerful quantum computer will be their skeleton key. So to really get what the threat is, you've got to understand the locks they're trying to pick. Let's take a quick look inside the cryptographic castle that's protecting, well, everything in our digital world. At the very heart of all this is a concept that's actually beautiful in its simplicity. It's called a trapdoor function. Think of it like this. Imagine mixing two colors of paint together. That's super easy, right? But now try to unmix them. Practically impossible. That's the idea. The math is easy to do in one direction, but going backwards is incredibly hard, unless you have a secret key, the trapdoor. And this paint analogy is perfect for explaining how two people can create a shared secret, even if someone is listening in. This is the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. Alice and Bob start with a common color. Then they each mix in their own secret color. They can swap these new mixtures out in the open. Now, here's the magic trick. They each mix their own secret color into the batch they just received. And boom, they both end up with the exact same final color, a shared secret key, and they never once had to reveal their private colors. Okay, so different systems use different kinds of these hard problems to stay secure. For a long, long time, the big one was RSA. But look at the key sizes. To get what we'd call good security, you needed a key that was over 3,000 bits long. Then along came something called elliptic curve cryptography, or ECC. And you can see it gives you the same level of security with a much, much smaller key. That efficiency is a huge deal, and it's why ECC is in pretty much everything now, from your smartphone to cryptocurrencies. But here's the catch. All of these systems, RSA, ECC, they all have one thing in common. They rely on problems that our current computers, our classical computers, find basically impossible to solve. The thing is, a quantum computer doesn't play by those rules. It's a whole new kind of machine, and it's bringing the master key with it. And this is the battering ram. It's an algorithm figured out by a mathematician named Peter Shor way back in 1994. It's basically a recipe, a set of instructions for a quantum computer that can efficiently solve the exact mathematical problems that make RSA and ECC secure. It doesn't just pick the lock, it blows the whole door off its hinges. Okay, but before we all panic, let's get some perspective here. The quantum computers that can do this don't exist yet. Not even close. To date, the largest number that's been reliably factored using Shor's algorithm on a quantum computer is 21. Yeah, just 21. So there's this massive gap between the theory and today's reality. But that gap is shrinking, and it's shrinking faster than a lot of people thought it would. Which leads to the big, scary question, doesn't it? If adversaries are hoarding our data now, and these powerful quantum computers are on their way, is everything we've ever protected online just a ticking time bomb? Well, not if the world's best cryptographers can help it. There is a massive global effort underway to build a new kind of fortress, one that is quantum-proof from the ground up. This whole field is called post-quantum cryptography, or PQC for short. And the experts are basically heading down two main roads to safety. The first path builds on something called hash functions, which are a really trusted part of cryptography today. The second path is totally different. It's about finding new, hard problems in these complex, high-dimensional geometric shapes called lattices. Let's start with the first path. A lot of these systems are built on a really clever structure called a Merkle tree. It sounds complicated, but the idea is pretty straightforward. You just take your data and hash it. Then you take those hashes, pair them up, and hash the pairs. And you just keep doing that over and over until you're left with just one single hash at the very top, the root hash. Now, the result is a system that's incredibly secure. It's built on a foundation we really trust. But whoa, look at this. It's also incredibly complex. What you're seeing here is a diagram for a new standard called Sphinx Plus. It's basically a tree of trees, a giant, intricate fortress built completely out of hashes. But all that complexity, it comes at a cost. An old-school ECC signature might be just 64 bytes. Tiny. A new SPHINCS Plus signature to get strong security can be almost 50,000 bytes. We're going from something super small and efficient to something, well, huge. And that's a real headache for the engineers who have to actually make this stuff work on our devices. All right, now for the second approach, which is something completely different. Lattice-based cryptography. This is all about finding hard problems in geometry. Imagine you're in a fog-filled, 1,000-dimensional space, and you have to find the point on a grid that's closest to you. That's the kind of mind-bendingly difficult problem we're talking about here. The key idea here is a problem called learning with errors, or LWE. The easiest way to wrap your head around it is to imagine you're trying to solve a bunch of simple linear equations. But someone has secretly gone in and added a tiny bit of random noise, or a small error to each one. That little bit of noise makes it incredibly difficult for even a quantum computer to work backwards and find the original secret. So you had all these different approaches in the running, and the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, basically held a big global competition to pick the winners. And for general encryption, a clear winner emerged. It's an algorithm called Kristall's-Kyber. It's based on that learning with errors problem, and it is now the official standard for keeping our data safe in the quantum age. So great, the new standards are here. Problem solved, right? Well, not so fast. We have the blueprints now, but the actual construction job is one of the biggest technology migrations in history. Every server, every web browser, every phone, every single thing that uses encryption has to be updated. It really is a race against time. But what's really cool is what's on the other side of this whole thing. This massive upgrade isn't just about playing defense. It's actually laying the groundwork for the next big revolution in how we connect, the quantum internet. Imagine a future where our data isn't just protected by hard math problems, but by the fundamental laws of physics themselves. So, look, if you only remember 3 things from all this, make it these. Number 1, our current digital locks have an expiration date. Number 2, the harvest now, decrypt later threat is real and it's happening today. And number 3, the good guys are already on it. The global migration to this new post-quantum cryptography has already begun. And all of this kind of brings us back to a much bigger, more fundamental question. The history of secrets is just one long cat and mouse game between the people making the codes and the people breaking them. As we step into this wild new quantum age, you have to wonder, will that game ever end? Or is the race to keep our secrets safe a race that will never truly be won?